And then in that case, they sometimes don't feel the need to have a dedicated tester. I kind of resonate with that a little bit, where a full-time tester is more logical when the team is like, either there's several teams or the team is like 15 people or something. Maybe 10.
Well, currently we have releases almost every week, so it's probably sensible to have a full-time tester because you at least have like something to do every week.
Yeah.
But yeah, with automation, there's like there are two approaches. One is like make the automation, and like that's a lot of work as well for the tester. Uh, I at least I assume the tester will do those automation. And other approach is just hire a company. Like I think like there are a couple of them in Estonia at least that are doing. Basically, they have servers that run tests out, and they write tests themselves. So like basically to hire external force. But as far as I understand, that's outside our budget for the moment.
Yeah, probably. Anton's aren't here, so it's like a more technical meeting. Now we can guesstimate about how much we need a tester or no. But currently we have Maxim that is supposedly going to do more testing.
Yeah, I will.
And a big
I
part of
will.
this meeting should be integrating him.
Yeah.
We have a tester.
Yeah, pretty much for now. Well, the only problem is I don't see no kind of path how to do it and what should be done. No manual or a plan. This is what we're missing currently.
Yeah, that's what this meeting is about.
Yeah, I dropped the files in the chat, but I guess they have no sense, to be honest. What have he done? He just left. He left. That's it. I'm not sure this is relevant. Arvi, you got any ideas?
Well, I think the main problem for testing is that our tasks or development tasks are quite sparse, or they don't have descriptions. And we talked about adding screenshots or videos after doing the task, but I don't think anybody has done that yet.
Well, I think it got better slightly, but yeah, but we still have some tasks that just only title, no description, no photo, no nothing like
Yeah.
how to implement this.
So maybe we can add this to the first step, that after completing the task, we would document at least what we did, what was the changes, and do a short clip or a few screenshots, and that would be a requirement to close the task for the developer, at least. And then we should. Mort had some ways to make tests that perform like a browser. So he write the test, and it acts as a browser, I think. Or am I remembering wrongly? Timo, can you?
No, I think you remember
correctly. Selenium tests, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe we could implement those, and we could teach Maxim how to write those also. He would get to also write some tests. And I think it's most important that we just start at some place, because currently we've been talking about it, but just keep pushing it in the future and in the. So
We've talked about having automations and stuff, but I think initially, since we have just one tester, it should be when you finish a task, you set the status to be ready to be tested or something like that, or just in testing. And
Yes,
then
but,
assign the tester manually initially. And then Maxim will, it should all work through ClickUp, I think.
Yeah, but automation helps more with like recurring error problems, or like basically you break something that you are not working on, like you changed something.
I was
like,
just mentioning Git
so
like
I
ClickUp
doubt
automation.
Maxim would like go over the whole application like on both ends and like retest everything every time. That's kind of insane amount of work.
Another potential starting point is that we make a user manual with every possible feature that the customer can do, every single action, and then make tests for all those. And then as soon as you make a new development, add it to the user manual.
Yeah, it's called a lot of companies use documentation first approach. Basically, they first write a documentation of how this has to work, and then either implemented it that way, and while developers implemented, the testers write tests for it, or like you write unit tests that basically check that the program behaves like documentation describes, but there's no program, and then you write the program that fits that those tests and so on. So basically, an approach a lot of like large companies use nowadays, but it's a lot of work. Like it basically triples the work because right now we're just writing code. It does like increase stability and like basically remove like redundant like recurring like problems and so on, because every time you basically, if you encounter a bug, you write a test that checks that is like the for correct behavior, then you correct the code so it fits the test, and then if it breaks again, you already have a test that will check this, so you kind of limit the possibility of recurring recurring errors. But yeah.
One thing I would say though is if writing tests is way easier than implementing the code in the first place. And I think also if you write maybe like 30 tests, you could possibly train GPT-4 to then write the 31st test.
I think I saw some frameworks that have AI integrated, like test. Basically, AI generates some tests, because like a lot of the stuff, like if you're not inventing something new, it can test it basically, and it can create tests. But yeah. The problem is here I have to rely on AI, which I don't quite trust right now. It's not that reliable.
Okay.
Well, automation tests, I think we can already start also implementing those. I mean, unit tests. Just need to set up the framework then for
Well,
online.
the unit tests, we have a slightly larger problem, which is our code base is like written in a way that is not quite easy to make unit tests on. That's why, like,
Yeah, I feel that too.
I a lot of the times I rewrite a lot of stuff, because basically every time we have like a method that is like, I don't know, 200 lines of code, a single method, that's not testable. It's it will, you can't test it because you can't substitute anything. And so basically, either you have to like write it in such a way that it will only test. How how do I put this? Basically, it's very hard to write a test for like a method that does a lot of things, because you're not testing for one thing doing correctly. You have to like write it in like to-do base, and it's kind of hard to do basically. So yeah, another thing is we a lot of the times we create objects with new instead of getting them from dependency injection, which is also a bad for unit testing, because again you can't substitute anything. If some method already creates an instance of concrete class, you can't substitute it via interfaces. So it kind of kills that possibility for you to create a mock that will like simulate something for the method. So yeah, basically that's the general problems with our code base currently. Obviously everything can be corrected and like rewritten, but a lot of rewriting, at least from what I see, it's like a lot of work right now to rewrite everything. And rewriting something that works is generally also a bad idea because it works currently, and like if you rewrite it, it might not work. So yeah. So unit tests, yeah, I'm all for writing unit tests, but again, that's a lot of companies opt out of that because it's additional development. Basically, you write a second code for the same. Also, like unit tests, you can make mistakes basically, and you can create a bug in unit test and like have a buggy unit test that just like so it also has to be maintained, and like also every time you change the code you have to rewrite tests as well for that code. If it's like if business needs change and this method now needs to do something else, you have to rewrite tests.
I know all this. I had the experience of working with unit tests, but what will be your preferred solution for testing?
For now, I say automated, the Selenium ones, which are just basically pressing, you train a bot that presses every button on the interface and it tries every input and so on. And like we can check that everything behaves correctly. And if it doesn't, then we at least know that, okay, something broke. And at least that's where I would start, because like, again, unit tests is like slightly larger theme for us. Maybe we can cover with unit tests some critical components for now. I'm not sure which are most critical right now. That's more for Rasmus and Arvi maybe to figure out.
I suppose.
Yeah, but yeah.
I think as well, like, I don't think we're going to go down the unit testing route. If we're going to do that, then way down the line with... I don't think we're ever going to do it, honestly, because we would have to rewrite a whole bunch of code to be user test friendly.
Yeah, and the longer we like delay this, then the more code we have that we have to cover, the like the more work we have like piling up that we would have to do later on as well. So yeah, it's probably usually if a company doesn't do unit tests, it doesn't start doing unit tests at any point because it's too much work.
What I noticed as well that a large amount of the bugs are kind of on the front end side or user experience stuff. Like, I don't know, dragging something doesn't work correctly, or it's like difficult to catch with unit tests exactly. I think Selenium testing, having what I imagine is having one test that does a bunch of functionalities in the application that I could run every now and again, and that would help a whole bunch. And then having a tester test tasks as they're going into testing.
Yeah, and in the end, the main goal is to make user experience so the user doesn't experience bugs, basically. So testing the interface makes a whole lot of sense.
Would we
Yeah.
would we want a separate environment for this Selenium tests so that like the data, like nobody just comes and kind of changes something in the data and then the breaks the testing because of that changes?
So on that front, I have done a little research. Basically, to run those Selenium tests or unit tests to begin with, we need to have a. So basically, you have a database start state. So basically, some data that you have configured, and every time you run the test, it creates a Docker instance of this database and runs the test on that. And once the test is finished, it basically destroys the database instance and starts again on the next time. So that would be one way to do those. So we would, I don't know, take one account from live or something where we configure all the features ahead of time, and then we can test it, use it as the base database for testing.
Sounds great.
Yeah. But I still think we should do some unit testing. I mean, I understand that covering the existing code with unit testing is likely not possible or a really huge amount of work, but maybe we could add the unit testing for new code. And in my view, we shouldn't maybe write the tests before the code, or because I have seen that unit test you write, I don't know, 20, 30 tests for a small piece of code, but maybe we can limit the scope that you don't have to test every nuance of it. But if it's a, let's say, a complicated piece of method that you're making, then you write the test case for that. But if it's just, I don't know, update the record in database or delete the record, maybe we don't need a unit test for that. But if there's some, I don't know. At least that's my view on unit test. So
Can you give an example of something you have written that you would have a unit test for?
So for me, I would see the first place for the unit test is the API. So in handheld, so let's say updating the data rows or updating the document, that's a point where we have two separate applications, and it would be a nice thing to do automatic testing on the API. And
it probably is a spectrum where it doesn't have to be no unit testing at all, or everything is unit testing. I think the API barrier would be a great point, actually.
I mean, I think there are good places to do unit testing, but coding the whole code with it is.
Well, if
Yeah.
you're thinking only testing APIs, then it's I think it's just testable via Postman or whatever. It's
So
and write a Postman script.
So I would use unit testing for the APIs and some, I don't know, complicated background task, like we have Hangfire for background task. So there should be maybe a unit testing for those. But on the front end, I would use Selenium. So the unit testing is, let's segment that only for, let's say, APIs and the background tasks, Hangfire tasks, and use Selenium for everything else then. So
Syncing as well, maybe. I guess that goes under API.
Yeah, for sure. I would say like in general, like services or whatever. Yeah, background tasks.
I think you were going to say something, or
yes, I was just thinking that potentially it could be unit tests for like front end as well. If you like inject their the data for controller and just look at the HTML output. But yeah, I guess yeah, Selenium would still be more useful.
Okay, Timo, are you writing things down or?
Yeah, well, yeah, I am taking notes, and there is also a recording, so we can proceed later. So far, it seems that we agreed that yeah, okay, better task description, and then if you hand over the tasks to Maxime for testing, then like I think the general thought is that to make sure that this is understandable, what needs to be tested. So like adding some kind of comment or a video if it's not clear, or communicating about that.
Yeah, screenshots and pictures and.
Mm-hmm.
I have to take this for just a moment.
Okay. Well, yeah. So end-to-end tests. This is Selenium tests, and I believe we all agreed that yeah, this is going to be a thing that we can start doing. So we can proceed with that. I think we've had some repositories or something already prepared, like Mart was working on Selenium tests. Yeah. Unit tests in general, we kind of like prefer not to work with that at the moment, but we can add them for like background tasks in online. That about sums it up, I believe. So my question will be like about like setting up everything related to end-to-end tests, and would it then make sense that Maxime also writes those tests?
I think it would make sense for him to write them if he would want that task. But he right at the moment he's going to be busy with TyroOCR for the next month at least.
So basically, it comes down to we still don't have dedicated testers. Okay.
I probably can spend 1 day per week. It's fine. But I need some kind of plan with Selenium and unit testing for APIs. I need more description, and Ben said right thing before. Whatever you're creating, there should be a description for it, actually. Because I'm currently looking into a project, because not just a mess, it's just unpredictable. I have no idea what's doing what.
That's kind of general management issue. But,
Yeah.
That's a problem of documentation, which we also don't have, which would also help.
But
Yeah,
I
you
think
can just look around, yeah.
until you are free, like in a month, we can include setting up the framework for adding those Selenium tests for ourselves as well.
Mhm.
What do you guys think?
I just created a small Selenium test, and it's a lot slower than I thought it would be. I guess it's meant to be run on a server, like over and over again, but it's not like recording, or it's not playing back what I recorded in real time. It's like 10 times slower than that for some reason.
Oh, my experience with it is it's very fast actually.
Well, that's funny. It's just trying to find these things to click on for like 4 seconds at a time. Kind of weird.
Oh, maybe it's because I've never tried the recording feature. Maybe it's different than when you write it in Python or something.
Maybe. Maybe.
It depends how you write it. I think you can record it and then export the recording and run it in Python or something.
I'm just using the extension currently. Browser extension.
I think
Run
those
it in C# as
extensions.
well.
I think those extensions sometimes also generate scripts. So you might just open that script and delete like a bunch of moves from it, because it probably recorded like every like half a millisecond of your movement of mouse, and like you can just shorten it to just click this part of the screen somewhere. And it probably will speed up the test.
It clicks based on the ID of the element, but then I don't know. Well, I can send a screencast. It's kind of side comment currently. Not an issue in the long term. Did I disconnect or something? Okay.
We're all quiet. Huh.
Yeah. So I guess we don't actually have good ideas except for the Selenium and the some of the unit tests, and
I think that is the best idea.
so I would say that maybe let's start doing those things, and in a week or two make a new meeting and see how far we are, if we have some problems, or because I think once we start doing testing and start doing the Selenium stuff, we will figure maybe something better out or get
Yeah,
some
find
problems
some new
where we're
stuff
stuck.
maybe.
But I think those three things that we talked about, better description after the task is done, screenshot, video, etc. Unit test for APIs and Selenium tests. And then I'm also in the process of making the second live environment. So hopefully we will have staged lives. So testing to live 1 and later to, I don't know, live 2. But yeah, if
I think the main reason for this meeting is to incorporate Maxim and have basically the developers agree with him how he's going to be included.
okay,
Right. So I would propose just whenever you finish a task, you're basically responsible for having the description be descriptive enough that a tester can understand what to test. And then you set it to be, once you put it into testing, you set it to be in testing, and you assign Maxim to the task, and then he will see the tasks that are assigned to him and click on. And once he has tested it, he can put it into a next status.
And also potentially adding Selenium tests.
That's
I'm just adding this extension and just checking it out. I was using it before. A bit.
I didn't hear you.
Yeah, it's kind of muffled.
Ah, sorry. I'm checking Selenium right now, what I can do with it. I used to do it a bit. Just need to remind myself. But yeah, add in tasks me then, and I don't know. I can see what I can do.
I think the problem with just assigning tasks, like everyone assigns tasks to Maxim, would be prioritization. Like how to say prioritize like that stuff. Because
There will
like
be a lot of tasks actually.
yeah,
Just imagine.
yeah, and their priority would probably be our
Hmm.
development priority. So you basically have like a shit ton of tasks that are marked urgent, like urgent, like so have to be done by yesterday.
Hmm.
So it's kind of hard to like know how would you like prioritize one project over the other. That's the problem. Like I think that just setting tasks to maximum doesn't quite work.
So how do we include a tester into our workflow?
Good question.
Yeah.
No idea. Yeah, so, like
An office would probably help with that, but
yeah, probably where we play rock paper scissors, like whose project is more important. To think right now, but like in general, like I'm not sure. Like I don't think.
there's also like testing probably takes 10% or 20% of the time that it took to make the task, unless it's really simple. If a task is an hour, then you test it for maybe 10 minutes. So it's
1/6.
yeah, depends on
Unless it's
Maxim's availability, I guess. If there will be a queue.
I don't know. I would prioritize by like how critical is this component. Like, so if it's just some button on UI, yeah, you can test it for 1 minute. But if it's like core component, like if it breaks, like every client shits itself, like it probably has
Well,
to be tested
the
extensively.
tasks already have priority though.
Yeah,
like
but
have that flag.
I'm thinking more of
Yes.
like in general sense, like how important is this feature, like in the whole project. Like if it's new development, it's probably not as important yet.
Maybe it makes sense
Yeah.
that the tester is assigned not to like a task, but more towards a project. So
Yeah, but we only have one tester. That's the problem.
well, yeah. So I'm just thinking out loud that like in some cases like Pinska, Saku, STRLT, and Aknaprof, it makes sense to know the overall process for the client and testing that process, making sure that everything works for them, rather than going into individual tasks.
Yeah, I agree. It should be something like that where the tester understands the customer goal. Like, how does senior decide what to test? He says he's been testing like 10 hours a day or something.
Yeah, but he knows
a
what's
week.
next or
Yeah.
whatever. Like he knows
Yeah, he
like
just-
that this is the next client that we show this to, and like maybe this is more important right now. But like
He just knows.
yeah, so basically he's the one who can decide that thing, but I don't think like that tester can decide what is most important.
Then maybe senior creates the list of the features he wants working, and then tester tests those.
I mean, a task goes into testing once a developer has finished it. So I think that step of the developer saying that it's done and the tester can now test this, that has to exist in any case, right?
Yeah. The
Yeah.
question is what prioritizes one task over the other, like if they're in different projects or whatever.
Well, we can kind of just communicate that maybe over Slack. And maybe there won't be like a bottleneck there. Even maybe we're thinking too far ahead.
I just prefer scalability. So basically, the same way I code, the same thing. I think like so, yeah. If we decide something now and then later it doesn't work because like it didn't scale well enough, then like the decision.
And we can adjust, you know.
Yeah, but like remaking the work process might be harder later if we have like more people. So it's like because right now it's okay. We created a meeting that we delayed this meeting like 2 weeks or whatever, and like okay, we got enough like all the people on board for this meeting, but like later if we have like I don't know 20 programmers or whatever, and like good luck picking a moment where like every project just magically syncs up that they are all available on the same day. That's like
No,
possible.
that's way ahead. That's like premature optimization to the max. I don't think we're really there yet, and we can move pretty fast. I think as well, organizationally. Usually, it just we should include Maxim in some way because it's been delayed so much, and it's better to have him doing something than doing not doing something.
So as
And
far
then
as
we
I
can see
understand, he's being included right now as a AI like model. I don't know maker. I'm not sure what the description that's but yeah.
that's true. So Maxim, what is the case like? Is it Anton's wish that you would spend more time testing? Are you running out of AI work to do? Or what's the case there?
My case, no. I was asking Anton about what kind of projects are you currently doing? What's the options? And we decided to start with testing. And I thought, okay, why not? Let's do it from that and shortly going into web development and check there what's the options. That was the agreement between me
But
and
is that
Anton.
is it because you're running out of AI
No,
stuff to do?
no,
No, okay.
don't overthink. That's because I asked.
Okay.
My understanding was that it was so that senior doesn't have to spend 10 hours a week.
I'm not sure
Okay.
about that, to be
Well,
honest.
generally the point is to increase the quality, so like we have less bugs that clients have to grapple with when we finish the developments.
So can we decide on something? Maybe Dima, you can.
Well, I
Like a
think
little
you had
summary.
a good start with the, okay, like developer finishes the task, he assigns it to Maxim, or like, I know, should like developer assign it, or should it be auto assigned or something? I'm not sure, like, because
Well,
maybe we have
I think-
more than one tester later on.
For example, like in Aknaprov case, then we should then because okay, it makes sense that then that we would communicate to Maxim as well what's the overall client process, and then he would be able to test it when we have the functionality available for that, right?
Yeah, I was actually going there. So with at least last presentation, we had like this problem that everything that client needed was tested the day before it had to be shown to the client, which like it turned out there were a lot of bugs and like we didn't manage basically to finish anything by the day. So I think like yeah, one of the cases is when you finish the task, you like create a task for like the tester, but another case is when we have something, some presentation or something major like coming up, then maybe like, or like we're doing a live, for example, as well. So like some more global tasks as well have to be created for the tester, so he can test everything over. So not so we don't basically shoot our pants before the client and so on.
So by the way, when we say task, it's more like one complete feature that the customer can go ahead and do something. So maybe only those get sent over to Maxim.
Bug fixes also usually, like, even if it's not like a major like feature like some things just have to be like checked over, like
Yeah, that makes sense too.
That kind of does make some sense to me. Where
by the way,
you-
we just talked about our like one-way communication to Maxim, but what's the Maxim's then backward like communication to us that okay, this failed like or I found the problem, or like,
Well, just a comment inside the task. Something
Yeah.
like what I got in results as a screenshot, probably the best idea, and
I
description
think
what
that
I,
is true.
what I faced. Is there any manual for the website what this site actually can do? And
You just
just can
screw
see-
around in testing.
I just see help, and inside help there's all the things what the website can do,
I'd
and
say
those things needs to be tested, as I understand. Prioritizing.
I'd say the nearest thing that we have to documentation that I would call documentation is Swagger, actually. So basically, it does have Swagger, so you can test every call to the API. So at least that part like is testable and understandable that this has to be.
Swagger.
Swagger.
Yeah, Swagger. Yeah. SWAGGER.
Mhm.
Yeah. So you probably can just put it. I don't remember. Do we just put it after the address, or like what was the head?
Yeah, pretty much.
So that's basically an interface that allows you to check if check the request that the API has, and you can test them right there and then. I'm not sure. Maybe we should.
This is API. This is not the whole application. This is only API part.
Yeah, that's the API part. I'm just saying that a lot of companies consider Swagger to be the documentation for the for the API, basically, because it has the calls and it has descriptions for those calls, like what those do and what parameters they accept and what they will return. And if they don't do that, then like we have a problem, basically.
Swagger doesn't document kind of the relationship between controllers and rather templates, which in MVCC, which is like I think our main where's the main.
The thing is, there's like I think a button or whatever that can generate like a human readable basically documentation from Swagger that just describes. But in general, yeah, technical documentation should include basically everything that Swagger includes. So what the call is, what does it accept, what it returns, and like how it will, basically, yeah, what it returns is, as in like what's the structure of the data, and then like you can dump it once in a while, and like if it doesn't match on the next call, then it's a bug or something. Anyway, maybe we can even automate that thing, but yeah. But in general, yeah, documentation is something that I've been talking about like since I've joined. Like, yeah, we don't have any. Is the general gist of it, and only for the very, very old stuff. We do have some documentation for very, very old stuff. Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe you can check. Maybe something was added. I don't know. Usually, in like in ClickUp, there's like a segment for the documentation. I think somewhere, and I'm not sure how it is updated. Probably never. But yeah, but we can.
Amazing.
Yeah, maybe. But we can at least start maybe putting some stuff up there or whatever. Like,
I'm wondering, JetBrains got anything like for testing? I got free 1 year subscription.
I mean, I think like if like Maxim needs to know like all currently existing functionality, the easiest way is just to explain it in like meeting calls. Like that would be the fastest way for now. Like about the documentation, yeah, I don't know who is going to write it and what exactly is needed there.
It's just getting to a point where like we have a lot of different functionality, and like remembering everything is not like an option. And again, onboarding new people, like every time we have create meetings and so on. And for handheld and for API, that's like 2 different meetings, because like to probably two different people who would be explaining those stuff, because no one is versed in both sides. But yeah,
Maybe as he writes the test, he can also write the documentation for that small piece.
I was thinking about it already.
And then, yeah, like he can still ask and then write down the documentation for that piece after he asks.
For Maxim specifically,
Seems
we're
like
not
we
gonna
need
wait for it.
documentation, after all. So okay, well, I don't know. Let's create a task about it and start doing it. Shouldn't be that simple to just describe that hard. I mean, to describe the functionality. Like break it down to different modules and then just writing it piece by piece.
I think the overview is the most important.
What?
The overview is the most important, probably there.
Well, saying we stick to the current flow, as soon as a task is done, as soon as a feature is done, it's assigned to Maxime. If he doesn't understand what the features, how the feature is supposed to work, he goes ahead and calls the developer. Developer explains it to him. Then Maxime writes the documentation, and then he writes the test. For that, just that one small piece.
Where that part of that documentation will be eventually stored. So it needs to be like in a full documentation, like a part of it. Yeah. I'm just thinking through.
Yeah, I guess just put everything in one.
Well,
document.
what's the main goal in the end? So that part will be the part of the big documentation,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Eventually, you'll have a very large documentation.
Yeah.
yeah. So basically, you probably will have to like populate the ClickUp documentation section. All those.
Is it good to have it in ClickUp, or maybe it would be good to also have it accessible to the users as well, somewhere in the application?
I think ClickUp has like export button or whatever. So at some point, if you need to provide something for the client, you can press a button. But yeah, we can also. I think the alternative is setting up like a public wiki or whatever. But I think those are paid, like as in not free. Yeah, I'm not sure. And I think didn't Tantan already think like providing some access to ClickUp for the clients or whatever?
No, we have documentation. It's in the. Well, we have a section for documentation. That's where it ends up. Ultimately. So maybe Maxim could do that directly. Just write the HTML.
You mean on online side, but
Yeah.
yeah, but Handheld doesn't have one. So.
It's never gonna have it though.
So
Or
we don't
the
talk
section for handheld is gonna be in online. Right.
There is a section for handheld, actually.
Yeah, I know. It's very out of date though, as documentation tends to be. Anyway, I think for Maxim specifically, he's not gonna wait for us to have the full documentation until he understands the application, or he can begin to understand the application. And also, I think it's not in the big picture that complicated. Like we're tracking things in the physical world with RFID. We have a table for those things. And then there's just a bunch of features on top of that.
We have very different ways of tracking. Also, we have Director, which has nothing to do with tracking, which is like also
Yeah.
a major feature. But yeah.
So yeah, I mean, can make a meeting with Maxim and have an overview of the application. That's fine.
Sure. Okay.
Okay then. Is there anything else that we need to discuss about the process?
So I should start sending my completed features to Maxime. Is that the plan?
Complete features.
Yeah,
Completed tasks.
completed tasks that make sense to test.
I think we discussed that. Maxime, you wanted to
I'm
say
not sure all the tasks should be get to me. The feature, at least I will understand it. Well, I'm thinking in user perspective, yeah. So
Yeah.
the person press the button, he receives the answer. This is what I need to test, pretty much. All the rest is more complicated stuff. I think it will be like later on. So the best way is to like a list of features. Well, I know some of them. Some of them, yeah, it's okay.
Oh.
However, yeah.
No, my question was, what's the plan exactly? Are we going one? Are we having him test features as they are done, or is he starting from the beginning?
Sure.
No, I'm asking. What's the plan?
No, that's a good question. So we can think about that. Like, it would make sense that Maxime has some kind of like understanding about what those features would be. Well, they should be tested after they're done, right? So after they are done, we have time. We have time to test them over. And then it's working with Maxime in that. I'm just thinking how for example, if we take Acnaprof and we want Maxime to be able to test the process for the client, how to include him in that. Currently, we're in a planning process where Pence well, mostly Anton and Anton Senior and I are participating. At some point we are going to have we already have more or less process, and yeah, once we implement it, like automation rules and Android views, then Maxim would need a description about that and to be able to test it. That's what we want.
Yeah, that makes sense. As soon as it's done, we give it. As soon as something that's done that makes sense to test, we give it to him.
Okay. In the meanwhile,
Yeah, I mean,
I was just gonna say, I personally am gonna like try out making some Selenium tests and how they might help detect bugs in the front end.
yeah, I agree with that. I mean, this is like what, yeah. What about like Max and Arvi and Victor? How would you like imagine would be a good way to include testing Maxim in the process of what projects you are working on?
Best case would be having automated tests, I guess, because we have so little. I mean, we have only one person doing it, so if we could have automated tests. But I guess it goes for the new features, then you will need to create more tests for each feature. Because doing separately testing takes too much time for one person.
How about every time there's a new feature, he writes the Selenium script for just that feature, and then eventually you have tons of Selenium scripts.
Yeah, and it doesn't cost much to just run and verify that everything works. Usually it's done as part of the build process.
So each time there's a new test, he runs all of his Selenium scripts.
Every time there's a merge to testing or like merge to
Yeah.
live, probably.
The Selenium tests and unit tests should always run on commit in the GitLab. You should set it up like that.
So then he adds it every time.
Well, yeah. If you write a new test, then that should be added to the code base, right? Let's see. So I think we have the first steps written out and what we should do, and maybe we can finish it for today and start doing those things and have a new meeting, I don't know, next week, a week after, and see where we are and do any course changes that we need. But I think those 4 or 5 points that we set up, that better task description, Selenium test, unit tests, and communicating better with Maxim and documentation. So I don't know. Can we finish for today?
I think so.
I think so, yeah.
All right.
Okay. So Arvi shared the Selenium project with Maxim, I think, so you can look into what Matt, what's his name, already did, because he did start some tests, right? The person.
Okay. Dima, do you know about that? Because I'm not aware of any test that.
Well, there was something, but I have to search for it.
I think I saw a video of like, I think login screen and like pressing login button.
Well, he did something, but I'm not sure he uploaded it.
Maybe it's in
Maybe
a
it was
separate
small enough.
branch somewhere.
I think so.
Oh, is there like a repository that we have for Selenium testing? Maybe there's something committed there? Or was everything just on his machine and like nothing got ever committed?
Well, I can't really see because the message history is.
Oh,
Yeah, it's like 2 or 3 months, I think. So if he
3
left-
months, and that's it.
Yeah, if he left before that, because we're again cheapskates, we can buy production of Slack.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Which actually already beat me in that, because like I usually, if someone like writes to me in like chat like some credentials for something, I usually don't copy it over anywhere, just to reduce the security risks and so on. But
No.
in this case, it got deleted at some point. Like,
The thing I remember is that he had created some kind of personal repository, and I remember that he shared it. And I think I was running it locally or something like this. It was just basically Selenium test in like in C in like Python or something. A bunch of simple tests. We do have like a few repositories in online, but they're basically empty.
I don't think we have anything.
Well, they're just empty. So, yeah, like Selenium tests, it will be good to think still about how to set it up in the best way and how to include it in like pipeline to run that. But anyway, yes, I think we have mapped out the next steps and discuss the process. So, yeah, I would end here.
Okay. But okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Good
Bye.
luck.
Have a good day, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
I
Bye bye.